Functional Strength Training for the Endurance Athlete, Part 2. So, you've now had an insight into the benefits of appropriate and functional strength training for the endurance athlete, and now it's time to give you an idea on exactly what it is that should or needs to be trained in order to maximize specific functional strength and power output for your sport. It's first necessary to take a quick look at what is written in training books for the endurance athlete. I'm sat here with my 4 favorite ones and just recapping on exactly what they recommend in terms of exercises and programming. Now, before I say anything at all, it's important to mention that I am by no means slating any of these authors, as they are all experts in their chosen fields, have given and continue to give huge amounts of fantastic information to the sport, and I respect them all very much for their contribution to the endurance sports world and my own personal knowledge also. That said, here are my thoughts. What is prevalent in all these books is single joint isolation exercises, fixed path machines, bilateral, in parentheses, two-legged exercises, a few stability ball and resistance band exercises. What largely isn't present is multiplanar movement, in parentheses. The body works in 3 planes of motion: side to side, forward, backward, rotating. Unilateral, in parentheses, single-legged exercises. Any emphasis on exercises that work on your opposite shoulder to hip relationship through integrated core training or any real body weight training. The above are a few of the very basic things that must be in your strength program to achieve the performance results you are after, yet for some reason are neglected in just about every book out there that covers strength training for the endurance athlete. Here's why they're so key. Multiplanar movement. As stated, the body works in 3 planes of motion: the frontal plane, which works side to side, the sagittal plane, which works forwards and backwards, and the transverse plane that works rotation. These planes are all prevalent in endurance sports and so must be trained. Running was initially thought of as a purely sagittal movement, in parentheses, you're moving forwards. However, all 3 planes of motion are present. To pinpoint a couple, in addition to the obvious sagittal movement, there is the frontal plane movement of the weight shifting from one side to the other, and the transverse movement through the torso as your shoulder and the opposite hip link up. Even in cycling, there is an element of transverse and frontal plane motion, for instance as you turn corners and shift your weight side to side to climb a hill, respectively. Single-leg movement. This is an easy one. One of the biggest endurance sports out there is running. How often in a run are both feet firmly planted on the floor? So why should you train for running with 2 feet on the floor, or even worse, with your legs strapped into a leg curl or extension machine? It makes no sense. In order to improve running strength, economy, and power output, you need to be strong and stable on a single leg. You get a lot of ground reaction forces with running, and it's important to ensure that your ankle, knee, and hip joints are all working efficiently and well enough to cope with the demand without injury. any exercise you can do on 2 legs or sat down, you can do on 1, in parentheses, or an equivalent exercise at least. These are a few very basic and generic exercises this can be applied to. If you're doing seated bicep curls, get up on 1 leg and do them. If you are squatting, do them on 1 leg. If you are doing bench press, get up and do it on 1 leg using a band or a cable. Now, I'm not saying that every exercise needs to be on 1 leg. It doesn't and shouldn't be. However, it is important to have an element of single-legged work in your program. Exercises like single-leg reaches are great for improving running mechanics as well as working on hamstring and glute strength, and single-legged, single-arm band presses will give you a great workout for your spinal rotators, as well as providing shoulder stability work, and again, looking at that shoulder to hip relationship. Integrated core training. Core training and core stability is something that has gotten a lot of emphasis over recent years, and rightly so. Ensuring you have a healthy, strong core is necessary to remain injury-free and for top performance in sports. However, many people seem to think that core training is all about doing all your exercises standing on a bosu or stability ball, laying in a plank position, throwing in a pile of sit-ups, and maybe a few hyper-extensions on the mat. It's so much than this, and half the exercises I see people doing in the gym environment every day for core stability are doing precious little of anything. Without going into big detail, your core is pretty much all the muscles from your ribs to your knees. And it is the thing that connects your upper to lower body. From the big externally visible muscles to the smaller hidden muscles, all your major muscles attached to the core in one way or another, either directly or indirectly. If the core is weak, then the link between upper and lower body is weak. So your power output will be weak. Your movement pattern will be less than efficient, and you stand a bigger risk of injury. Your core affects every big movement you make in endurance sports, from pulling your arm through the water to spinning your paddles to running in a straight line, and has big implications on, to name a few, stride length and frequency, pulling power, and out of the saddle hill climbing. In terms of integrating core training, your body doesn't work in isolation. It works in integration, so train that way. I have nothing against sit-ups, hyperextensions, or any other valid exercise, but it's about using the right tool for the right job. How is banging a load of sit-ups going to help your running? And why would doing bicep curls on a bosu ball help you run better? Core training needs to focus on a few things, such as strengthening the diagonal force production and transfer, in parentheses, exercises such as diagonal chops, single arm, single leg presses, pulls, and pulls are great for this. Opening up the hips to help counteract seated positions. Posterior reaches, in parentheses, posterior reaches, staggered stance reverse band flies, and ensuring your mid-section is able to cope with what you ask it to. If the core is not strong enough, is not stable enough, and is not stiff enough when required, when you go to push it harder in the swim, hammer it uphill on the bike, or quickly slowing yourself down to turn a corner on a run, it's like you are shooting a cannon from a canoe. Integrate your core training by ensuring all your exercises required to be working. Push-ups and recline rows rather than fixed machine chest presses and rows. Squatting rather than leg pressing. Cable chops instead of sit-ups. The list goes on. Body weight training. I won't spend long on this at all, but for some reason, and I don't know why, this is often massively neglected. It seems that most people's perceptions of what is functional and beneficial involves the use of some bit of kit. Bosu balls, stability balls, dumbbells, benches, barbells, power plates, body blades, balance boards, and whatever the hell else is up there. But whatever happened to body weight training? It seems as though it's mostly been lost somewhere along the way. The importance of body weight training can be summed up in the answer to this question. What is it you carry around with you in every workout, every practice, every race, all day, every day? Your body. So why would you not train your body with just your body? In order to master your performance in a sport, surely you need to have total control of your body, how it moves and how it performs. Functional strength training for the endurance athlete must start with body weight work, or at least the vast majority of it must be body weight based. Importance of knowing your sport. One of the key aspects of training for functional strength is making it specific to the environment and demands of your sport, as well as the movements and forces that are present within that sport. Take swimming, for example. This, of course, takes place in water, and so ground reaction forces, gravity, and momentum don't play a big part as they would in other disciplines such as running. We, in parentheses, usually swim in a prone position, and so the force we generate comes not from the ground, but is largely generated by our core musculature. Every movement comes from the core, as each body part involved in swimming is anchored at the spine and hips, and so core stiffness and strength is a major factor in efficient and powerful swimming. With the swim, you must also realize the rotational forces transferred through the body. With every kick and every arm movement, causing your body to rotate in the water. Stability within the shoulder and hip joints is also essential for the swimmer. If these joints are strong and stable, combined with a strong core, incorrect muscle firing and movement patterns will significantly decrease, leading to increased economy and power output and a decreased risk of injury. So, if you are someone who frequently gets shoulder or lower back pain while swimming, I was recently speaking with a runner friend of mine who religiously completes a run-specific strength training routine that was given to him by a fellow runner 2 to 3 times per week. Although doesn't really feel any real benefits from the program, he's kindly let me have a look at it, and I'll share it with you now. Bench press 4 reps by 6 to 12 sets. Machine leg press is 3 reps by 10 sets. Machine hamstring curls 3 reps by 10 sets. Lat pull down. 3 sets by 10 to 15 reps. Dumbbell arm running, 3 sets by 30 seconds. Biceps curls, 4 sets by 6 to 12 reps. Tricep dips, 3 sets by 6 to 12 reps. Twisting sit-ups, 3 sets by 20 sets. 3 sets by 20 reps. It doesn't take a genius to see that this isn't in any way run specific at all. As with most people's training program, it follows more of a traditional bodybuilding type workout, and it's easy to see why he hasn't been getting the gains he hoped for. After all, what has heavy bench press or curls got to do with running? What I did for the guy is completely revamp his workout into a much more run-specific session. I'll explain the exercise selection a little as we go. Bench press is swapped for push-ups. The push-up is a fantastic full body exercise. It's not only does it hit the pecs, triceps, and shoulders, but also works on providing core strength during deceleration. Leg press has been changed for a single leg squat. The single leg squat is much more run specific than a heavy leg press. By using this strength, he's now getting a great workout for not only his quads, glutes, and hamstrings, but also for the strength, stability, and integrity of the knee, hip, and ankle joints, while also causing a much more specific core workout at the same time, as the body stabilizes itself on a single leg. Machine hamstring curls swapped for stability ball hip lifts. The position I've got him using during the hip lift stimulates the point at which the leg is pulling back against the ground to propel the runner forward, and is giving the hamstrings and glutes the specific strength they require to do this effectively, powerfully, and efficiently. Lat pull down swapped for a recline row. The recline row allows him to target his lats, biceps, and rear delts, while also helping to open up the hips in order to counteract poor postures, as well as being able to play around with various leg and foot positions to increase or alter the core demands of the exercise. Dumbbell arm running, replaced with band-resisted single leg step-ups. Driving your arms forward and backward with some light dumbbells does nothing to improve your endurance running. The exercise I replaced this with provides a beast of workout through the entire leg, which also providing single leg stability training and some kick-ass core work too, while also allowing the runner to work on arm mechanics for running. Bicep curls replaced with a dumbbell single leg reach curl press. Hitting the bench weights won't help any endurance runner to get faster or better, so what I've done here is incorporate the curl into a run-specific exercise that targets the ankle, knee, and hip joints and their surrounding muscles, while also hitting the shoulder-hip relationship, but still allowing him to bang out some curls. Tricep dips has been replaced with a slick stance overhead band triceps extension. The position we adopt here actually stretches the hip flexors and opens up the hips, while also providing some great deceleration training through the core, as well as enabling him to hit some triceps at the same time. Twisting sit-ups were replaced with a high to low cable chop. The chop is a great way to work on the shoulder-hip relationship, and also provides a great workout for the spinal rotators and stabilizers, much more so than any sit-up can ever do. So that's what we did with his workout in the 8 weeks it's been since I changed his program. He has put a poor start to the season behind him and has smashed his previous PBs in both 5K and 10K races. Is it all to do with the strength training? No. Did it have a good effect? Clearly. I hope that this article has given you some food for thought and will cause you to think seriously about integrating an appropriate strength training program into your regime. You will feel and see the differences in the way you look, feel, and most importantly, in your race times.